So hey, Ahmed base. Itmar from the two dots. Itmar b'fnei kama nosnula. So when the shliach comes and he gives the woman and he says b'fnei lechem b'fnei lechtam, how many people does he have to give it to her for? Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Chanina. So two shitas chaldomar b'fnei shnayim, v'chaldomar b'fnei shlosha. So when it says chaldomar, it means we don't know who is who, which is which. So Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Chanina, one of them said 2, and one of them said 3. Here you can see the halacha is that you give it before 2. So to stayim, we're going to say that Rabbi Yochanan is the one that said before 2. Again, we don't know which one it is. Let's see and try to hold, because we have a reason to hold that Rabbi Yochanan is the one who said 2. The Rabbin bar Rav Chisda, I see Gita, the Kamei to Rabbi Yochanan. V'amar le zil havle. So Rabbi Yochanan said back to him, go give it to her before in front of 2. V'emelahu b'fnei lechtam b'fnei lechtam. So there's like a question mark there. Is this a proof that Rabbi Yochanan is the one that says you need 2? And then we say to Stein, yes. The answer is yes. Rabbi Yochanan is the one that says 2. So here Rabbi Yochanan says 2 and Rabbi Chanina says 3. So lema b'hakem eflegis. We're going to say that what's the maklokas? What are you dealing with here when you have 2 and 3? The man da amar b'fnei shnayim who holds 2 kasaver lefi ein bakin lishma, because we're not a baki lishma, which is Rabbah. So that would be Rabbi Yochanan. Uman da amar b'fnei shlosha, he was holds 3. Rabbi Chanina kasaver lefi ein edim mitzayin lekaimo. So how does this work out? Hilkach betray sogi. Since they're not a baki, 2 is enough. To the havi sahadi, because then you have edim da amar shaliach b'fnei that the shaliach said that it was. So when it comes to lishma, it's just edus ba'alma. So you have edim that he said v'iyati bal v'tzu uma'arer lo mashkichem bei, because we have 2 edim that said it was written lishma. So therefore it's enough. So v'cheven de lekimuhu. So since there's no edim lekaimo, therefore it's the kiyum that you need the 3, as this will be like a based in. Like we say in Kosov, kiyum shtaros b'shlosha. So you do the kiyum shtar. So therefore, when the shliach comes with the get, he's doing a kiyum shtar in front of the 3. So this is the projection that we're saying that this is the maklokas. Now this isn't going to make any sense. The tisvarad, really, can you really hold that this is what they're arguing over? Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi amor lefeisha ein bakim lishma. So we had up above, as a pluk to Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shua ben Levi, Chad Omer Lefeisha Ein Bekin Lishma, and that turned out to be Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi who would Omer Lefeisha Ein Bekin Lishma. So therefore Rabbi Yochanan up here is the one who holds like Rava, who holds that it's Lefeisha Ein Edim Mitzayin Lekaimo. So Rabbi Yochanan is holding like Rava. So as here Rabbi Yochanan holds 2. We just learned here that the Testayim is that Rabbi Yochanan holds 2. So to Stein, that's Rabbi Yochanan holds 2. So therefore, Rabbi Yochanan holds 2, and he holds like Rava. So since Rabbi Shua ben Levi says Lefish Ein Bekin Lishma, Rabbi Yochanan is the one who holds Amar Lefish Ein Edim Mitzayin Lekamo. The Haka Hekika Amar Rabbi Yochanan b'fnei Shnayim. So that's the first rejection. This is what they're arguing about. V'od ha Rabba Islay de Rava. So Rabba anyway holds of Rava, and therefore if you need the 3 for Kiyim Shtarus, so therefore, you're going to need 2 anyway. So you're going to need 3 anyway. Even according to Rabba, you're going to need 2. Because you're holding by Kiyim Shtarus. And Kiyim Shtarus, if that's the reason that you need to do the Kiyim like that at all, so therefore everyone's going to need 3. So how can you have a Shita B'chlal of having 2? So therefore, the Maklokas of having 2 or 3 is not like Rabba and Rabba. Now the Rashba, here, midiskana de taima de multa mishum de tzarach lekaimo, who mashma de davka be mevi memdis hayam inami be'eretz Yisrael hechet de ike chirum yodua kaosim. So basically, he's saying that since the maskana, the taima is because we need to mekaimo. So therefore, why would you need 2? We're going to say in the maskana we need 2 is the halacha. So why? Because you need the kiyum. So therefore, that's all. If the shaliach is bringing it from chutz la'aretz, you need to say b'fnei nechtam. Aval ba'aretz Yisrael, but the lake kechirim. So in Eretz Yisrael, where you don't have this isur, benin this achad in one country, b'minis hayam. She'ein tzarich lomar, where you don't need to say it. Lefisha mitzayin lekaimo. Ein tzarich litonu b'fnei shnayim. Eile nosnu la beinu lebeina v'dayo. So this whole thing in the Gemara, where we're learning that you have to have it between and b'fnei kama noisen la. That's the shaliach that comes from chutz la'aretz. And he's giving the shaliach is bringing the get, and he has to say the b'fnei nechtam. There you need 2 or 3. Therefore, if you don't need to say b'fnei nechtam, so therefore you don't need any edim at all, and you can just give it to her, which is the Baal giving it to her, or the shaliach giving to her, and that's enough. And that's the das of the Baal ha'iter. Now it's mashma here from the Baal ha'iter that you do not need edim mesira. Because if you need Edim Mesira, therefore you would need 2 Edim. And therefore the Chayr, it's a Raya here, says, this is coming out from the Rashba, that it's a Raya from the Bali Itur that you don't need Edim Mesira. This Gemara saying that you need 2 or 3, that's only for Bifnei Nechtav. If you needed Edim Mesira, everybody would need 2. And therefore, you would just need either like no one extra. But here, you don't need anybody if you're a shaliach, since you don't need anybody. So therefore, where the Edim Mesira? You gave it to her in front of nobody. There's no Edim Mesira. Therefore, we see from this Gemara that you don't need Edim Mesira. So Rashba doesn't like that. Umihu nira to came in the Kamal like Rabbi Eliezer damar Edim Mesira karti afa maybe it's just also they don't love b'fnei shnayim. So the Rashba disagrees with the idea of the Bala Itter and says, no, even because we have Edim Mesira, therefore you're going to need 2. Rebbe Kiv Eger in his Chedushim, so he says, he brings the Rashba. So Dav Kamashma, but maybe Eretz Yisrael, the Ein Zarach Lomer B'nei Nechtam. The Ken Kasef Bala Itter. The Haksha, this is all the Rambam, Rebbe Eliezer holds, Edi Karsi. The Lezeh Kasav the Gam Eretz Yisrael, Zarach Litim B'fnei Shnayim. So the way that the Rashba is understanding the Gemara is that 2's enough. It's not that you need 2 and not 0, or it's 2 versus 3. It's that 2 is enough, is what they're saying. Because in Chutz La'aretz sometimes you need 3. When you give the get a Karva Risha, which we'll see later in the Sugya, that what Re says, lo mishum amita boy shenitim lo b'fnei base. It's not the Amir b'fnei nechtam that is mechayving you the 2. Because with that you need 2 anyway. Ele is coming to say that the mahani that you give it in front of 2. That you give it in front of 2 anyway, it's enough. Now, Varach Amar Ditzrichim Nitem B'fnei Shloisha Misham. Sometimes you bring the Isha Ube'emezehu Doichek Lefi the Leperish B'fnei Shnayim. Now here's the Tayinu Desagi B'fnei Base. So this is the Rebbe Kivever coming in. Nias Daiti Hayenira B'Pshuto. The Ba'arch Yisrael Sagli Tem B'fnei Echot. So far we have the Bali Yitr says you need nobody, and the Rashba says you need 2. So the Rebbe Kiveger says no, you don't need 2, you just need 1. The Hashaliach Gufa Mistarach Lehiyos Imo Eidei Mesira. The Karabinim Perak Bais Kedushin Hein Shlich and Hein Eidav. Ba'Bachus Arzarich Beis Lahaid B'fneihem B'fnei Nechtav. So if you're just looking for the Eid and Mesira, now we're going to have a sugya of Eid, Na'asa, דיין, but the Eid can be a Shaliach can be an Eid. Can an Eid become a דיין is something else, but can a Shaliach be an Eid? Rebbe Kiveger says for sure the Shaliach can be an Eid. Therefore the Shaliach Gufa just needs one other person with him to be the Eid and Mesira, and therefore this whole 2 or 3 has nothing to do with Eid and Mesira, because in Eretz Yisrael you just need one person because you have the Shaliach is there anyway, and the Shaliach is one of the Eid and Mesira, that is the aid, which is the get coming over onto it. So therefore, kasha on the Rashba, how are you learning from here that you need the 2 people for the Edim Mesira? So back in the Gemara, so we say that's not the maklokas. Everybody needs, the aid in there like Rava. So what are they arguing about? Nasa aid, the aid nasa דיין kamiflagi. So we have 2 ideas here. One is that the shaliach becomes an aid. So we just saw that in the Rebbe Kiveger. So everyone holds that a shliach can be an aid. So the shliach is bringing a get. Can he be an aid? Yes, he can. So everyone's holding that, but can an aid become a דיין? So the aid, somebody who saw something, he's an aid. Can he be a דיין? Mar Savar Bifnei Shnayim Kasavar. So why do we need 2? Shaliach na'asa aid, and therefore aid na'asa dayan. Uman da'amar b'fnei gimel, Kasavar shaliach na'asa aid ve'ein aid na'asa dayan. So this is how we're understanding the maklokas. So why do you need three? Because the shliach can't become the dayan. Since the shliach can't become the dayan, you need two others. So you need three others. But if the shliach can become a dayan, therefore you just need two others. And therefore you eat them up, and therefore you have the kiyum, because we're all holding that you need it for the kiyum of the guest. Since you need the kiyum of the guest, so therefore the aid, the shaliach will be, the shaliach is an aid, and the aid will become a dayan, and therefore he will be one of the three. So it's two plus the shaliach, or three plus the shaliach, because the shaliach becomes an aid and he can't become a dayan. Now this is the Rashbam in Bava Basra. The question is, I mean, should an aid become a dayan? So I mean, always the fallback would be, why not? Why can't the aid become a dayan? So ein aid nasa dayan. So hama'amid al hadavar. So he's like the aid. Ein nasa od dayan. He's not going to become a dayan on that, but oito davar, on the exact thing that he was gave aidus to. The kam imroe is that if he saw the matter, v'nasa aid, ein nasa levo dayan. He can't be a dayan on that, but aidus atzmo, on the atzmo itself. Ela im kain me'idin acherim bifnav. Other people have to give the aidus in front of him, so he can become the dayan, but something that he's given aidus on he can't. V'nira be'enai, says Rashbam, that it's gazer sakosavhi. That means svara, there's no reason why not, but it's a gazer sakosav. As it says, v'omdu shnei ha'anashim, says in Devarim, the two people were standing. Be'edim akosov midaber. So the Gemara says that the Amdu Shnei Anashem is the Edim. Lifnei Hashem Hayinu Lifnei Hadayanim. Ashmin Kro Ditzarach La'ed Shnaim Lifnei Hadayim Aval Ha'edim Einu Choyzim V'Yoshim V'Danim. So because the pasuk says V'Amdu Shnei Anashem Lifnei Hashem, so there the two people are separate, and the Lifnei Hashem are separate, the Dayan is separate, the Eid is separate, therefore the pasuk splits them up. Therefore you have Shittas the Rashbam that it is a because there's a kosov, and that there's no real svara as to why an Eid can't be a Dayan, but the pasuk says that whoever's given the Eidus can't be the Dayan on that. So this is a Toisus Kosovus Chalfal. This is brought down in the Ktzos. So now here Hanach le'Eidus Chachodesh deraisa. So the Gemara is going to say, which we're going to see in our Gemara now. Eidus on the Chodesh is the deraisa din, where the Eidim come and give Eidus on the Chodesh. That's Eidus deraisa. So Eidus deraisa, an Eid can't be a Dayan. Ubet deraisa ein Eid nasa Dayan. So only in deraisa din, but it's something that's for derabanan. So therefore an Eid can be a Dayan. So deraisa Eid can be done. V'taima, and then Tosis is going to say taima de ein Eid nasa Dayan mishom de be'inyan sheyedu lifnei hadayanim. Because the Eidim need to give Eidus in front of the Dayanim. Kamosh mefarish Rashbam. Dichtav v'amdu shnei Hashem elu Eidim lifnei Hashem. Elu hadayanim. So that's the first pshat at Tosfos, like it's a gezer sakosov, like the Rashbam. V'yesh meforshim mishom de be'inyan Eidus she'ata yochol lachazima. So this is Tosfos's mechudesh dika pshat, that the Yesh meforshim say that you need Eidus that you're able to give hazama on. The im ha'edim nasu dayanim edus she'enata yechol hazimahi. So if the edim themselves are going to be the dayanim, so then you can't give hazama on that edus. Why not? Shelo yekablu hazama al atzman, because they're not going to makabel themselves as edi hazama. So seemingly, A gives the edus, A becomes the dayan, B comes and he says, A, you couldn't give that edus because you were with us at Zman Ploni, and therefore we're going to give you the punishment. And A just says, I don't makabel you because I wasn't an Eid Zomam. I don't makabel that. So since he's not going to, the pashas to the Toises is that if he becomes a Dayan, he's not going to makabel on himself to become an Eid Zomam. So therefore, if the Eid himself is a Dayan, therefore the Eidus is Yeta Yechola Hazima, and therefore the Eidus is not the Dayanus is not good. The Eidus is not good because you're not going to do Hazama on it, and therefore that Eid can't be a Dayan. So it's like a technical reason and a tam reason. Now, seemingly you can just ask on his Taisis. It's like, I mean, like what the Chazon Ish said that Sheikhad is a gezer sakosov. That Sheikhad will never. You're a dayan. Your money is never going to change the way you think or feel about a psak. So many stories in the Gemara will say otherwise, but the Chazon Ish is like, it's not going to make a difference. Therefore, the Shaychat making you possible for a Dayan, it's not going to make it. It doesn't make a difference. Therefore, it's a Gezer Sakosov. So you cannot have a tzaddik that's, listen, someone says that that I was a Zomim, so I'm a Kabbalah upon it's okay, so I'm a Zomim. I'm a Baal MS, and if you say I got two Edom that said I'm an Eid Zomim, so I posted that I'm an Eid Zomim. What can I do? I know the halachas of Dayanos, and I'm an Eid Zomim, and I posted myself. Like, what exactly is Tosa saying here? That he won't come upon himself? Maybe he will. I mean, it's like saying that no one's ever going to lie to make money, or no one's ever going to not lie to make money. But it happens all the time. Like, what is Tosa saying here? That I will never, but maybe I'm an honest guy. And therefore, someone says that I'm mizamim, I will be. So, Pasha in the Shulchan Aruch, an aid nasa דיין v'davka aid shema aid. So he's talking about an aid that actually gave the aidus, not someone who just saw something. He can't be a dayan, but the aid who's a dayan, if he actually gives aidus, so you give aidus in a besin or you give aidus somewhere, so that is the person. He can't become the dayan. So on that, you got the Ktzot. He brings the Tosfos here, which we did, that you need Eidos Shiyato Lahazima. L'chach nira k'fi atam mishum hazama. U'masha hokshu Tosfos the yiskam hazama bebeis din acher. So, well, maybe you can just go to another beis din, because if you go to a different beis din, so therefore you're not the aid that became a dayan. It's not on that beis din, and why can't he become an aid zoma? Kamo be'edim karuvim le dayanim. So you also have a karov can't be like a karov can't be an aid because there's no hazama. Can a karov to the dayan become an aid? So if you know the you can't. Let's say I'm suing somebody, so I can't have a karov in as the dayan in the beis din because he'd have negiyas to the psak. But someone else is getting sued, and I saw the shtar, and I'm a korov to the dayan. Can I come in and I say I saw him give him the money? Can I say that? Because that's the aid. We never see anywhere that the aid can't be korov to the dayan. But according to this Tosfos thing, then the dayan's not going to makabel the hazam on the korov. So like what? So near bezeh, if you look at beis acher lo yiskam hazama. So he's saying that Tosfos' din is talking about everything. He's not just talking about this guy doesn't want a makabel upon himself. It has to be a din that's true. This package is true. So first thing about Edom Zomimim is that it needs to be Nigmar Hadin. Since that's being Nigmar Hadin, is that there's a psak of the beis din on the aid, and he can't be a Zomam. He can't be a Zomam if there's no psak din on what he said. Ein Edom Zomim nerugim v'lo loikim v'lo mishalem ad sheyamu acher shenigmar din. Aval hu zomu koidem gomer din ein nasin zomimim. Now, kevin de kaimelan eid zomim lemafreya hu nifsol. Now, this is one of the, I'm pretty sure it's one of the Yal Kagam. I was going to look it up. I'm pretty sure the ayin in the Yal Kagam, what Yal Kagam is, the 6 places where we posken like Abaye over Rava. So the ayin is Yud Ayin Gimel Ya'al. So the ayin is Eidim Zomim Lemafreya. So if I seem to vaguely remember doing Makos, but I think we did Makos and we did this anyway. If the aid comes to give aidus on Monday, and then on Tuesday, other aidim say imano hayisem, and then on Wednesday there's a psak saying that you're an aid zomam. When do you become apostle? From Monday when you gave the aidus, or on Wednesday when there was the psak din? So lemafreya hu nifsol is that your aidus is apostle. You're apostle from when you gave the aidus, not when the psak din was on you. So Edim Zomin Limafreya Nifsol, they become apostle aidus. So then for the nafkamina, a simple nafkamina would be if you give a different aidus on Tuesday, on somewhere else, if the psak that says you're apostle aid on Wednesday, if it's Mikanu Laba, so it was good aidus on Tuesday. If it's Limafreya, you were apostle on Monday, therefore the aidus you gave on Tuesday was no good. So since we're holding that, im kain, im yuzomu, hare, nifsolin, meyoto shah, so therefore you're apostle from the time you're given the edus, the im kain, nigmar hadin, lifi psulim, the havele kemo shalo nigmar hadin ve'ein nashin. So here we're entering into a time loop, one of those time travel movies. Yeah, do you see what's going on here? So on Monday he gives his edus. On Tuesday there's the on Tuesday he himself, the aid himself, is the Dayan. On Tuesday he says he makabels his edus and is the Dayan on that edus. On Wednesday, two Adim come and say Imano Hayisem. And that has to be after the Gemar Din. So therefore, Adim on Wednesday say Imano Hayisem. So then, when we pasak on that and we makabel the Imano Hayisem, on Monday he was apostle aid. Therefore, on Tuesday, what the hell was he given? There was no pasak din on. He can't be the Dayan on Tuesday, because on Monday he was already apostle for Adis, so therefore he's not, and he can't be a Dayan either. So he's apostle for Adis, he's apostle for Dayan. So therefore on Tuesday he's apostle Dayan, and therefore he can't give the psak of what you said on Monday was good, and therefore it's Adis Yetol Lahazima, because once you mezamin the aid, then there's no psak, because you apostle him the Mafreya, and therefore he becomes apostle before he gave the Pesach, and therefore it's Eidosh Yetol Hazima. And then once he's apostle Dayan, therefore he becomes a kosher aid again. And then you go into this like circular logic. You see that point, that if he becomes apostle Dayan, therefore there was no Pesach on his Eidus, and since you can only become an Eid Zomim after Pesach on his Eidus, therefore he was never a Pasul aid. Since he was never a Pasul aid, therefore his Eidus is kosher, and now his Eidus is kosher. So then then he's a kosher Dayan as well. Then the kosher Dayan apostles him, goes on forever. So there is I think a Ran that says that basically the Siba can't apostle the Misavev, the Ilul can't apostle the Ula. So whatever the first cause is, you go after the first cause, and that doesn't go into the. So here you would just apostle the he's apostle, and you don't go back. But there is technically a loop here. So this is how the Ktzot answers for the Tosfos, that it's Eidosh Yetol Chazima, because you're in a temporal loop. Stipler has a whole thing, and he doesn't necessarily like the Ktzos. Goes on various other points of Eidos, and then there's also the whole thing here of Eidos of the Chodesh, and if you're canonade, do you get Makos for Eidos of Chodesh if you're Mazamim, and then if not, can the aid become a Dayan for Birkus Chodesh for the moon? It's got a whole thing there. I mean, it's a whole sugi, but this is like one of the key points of Eid Nasa Dayan. Either it's a Gezeres Kosov, or it's a Savara, as brought out here in the Ktzos. So back in the Gemara, we say we reject this. We say v'hakaim alam b'derabbanan to Eid Nasa Dayan. So we say tzak in the end, that's only deraisa, and Eid can't become a Dayan. But for derabbanan, then the Eid can become a Dayan. And since he can become a Dayan, so therefore, why can't we'll just have two. So now we have our third reason of we're arguing over you need two or three. Ilahaka bahag kamiflagi. Demar Salver Kavan to Isha Kasher Lahavi et Gita. It's sorry, not Gita, et Haget. So since this is what we're arguing. So, Mar Salver, so the one who holds two, says the Isha is kosher to bring the get. This is why we need three. Sometimes she will bring it, the woman, and we'll be soimech on her. Right, so she'll bring the get, and we'll be soimech. Here's a shaliach, and we'll use her in order to become the part of the Dayanas. This will be she'll become the third Dayan. So therefore you need three. There's more Salver, you need three, because the woman, since she's kosher to bring the get, sometimes she will bring the get, and we'll use her in order to become a Dayan, and therefore we need three. If we have two, then we'll use her. Therefore have three, we won't use her. So the other one, why do we need two? Everyone knows that a woman can't be a Dayan, and we won't be Soimech on her. Now, seemingly clear from here that a woman can't be a Dayan. That's seemingly the posh pshat here. So the first one is just saying that if a woman brings the get, so it doesn't really speak it out here, but Skaven to Isha Kashera, since she's kosher bring the get, sometimes she will bring the get. Therefore, if you have two, we might come to be Soimech Aleya. Therefore, we have three. And the Idach, so that's Rav Chanina. Rav Chanina, who holds three. That's his reason that sometimes you'll rely on the woman. And we pass like Rabbi Yochanan, we need two. So Rabbi Yochanan holds, everybody knows that a woman can't be a Dayan and will become to be Saimech Allah. Okay, and that's the end of that sugya, and then we have a Tashema. Sorry, Tani Kiveset to Rabbi Yochanan. So we've kind of finished this point of two. So why do we need? So we hold like Rabbi Yochanan, who holds like Rava, and why do we need two? Because everyone knows that a woman, we don't need a gezerah of three. But it's for Chaim that the Shaliach becomes one of the Dayanim. And since the Shaliach becomes one of the Dayanim, we only need two. And even if a woman comes, everyone knows a woman can't be a Dayan, and therefore we're not going to hold by her. No problems, except Toisvis in Bava Kama Tesvav. Asher tasim lefneihem heshiva koshav isha leish. Tema says this is going on the word lefneihem. Ha lefneihem, it doesn't iri ele on kosher ledun. The kosher the kach the kain. This is the drasha we do in Perik Basra of Gittin. Lefneihem v'lo lefnei hedius ve'isha pasula ledun. So a woman is pasul ledun to stand b'perich ba'asiman kol hakosher ledun kosher le'ed. So everybody who is kosher for Dayan is kosher le'ed. This is why a woman is pasul for Dayanos, because kol kosher for Dayan is kosher le'ed, and a woman is pasul le'ed, and therefore she's pasul for Dayanos, like we say in a chayva u'b'perich shavuos ha'edus. Okay, now, but that's all good so far. But Yesh Lomer says, the Hahi Perak Basiman Be'ishayri. So this is the whole idea of Pasul Ledon is not talking about a woman at all. It's talking about a man, Kleimar. Kol Ish Heksher Ledon Kosher Le'ed. It's only any man that is kosher to be a dayan is kosher Le'ed. And it's not talking about a woman. Umidachtev Vihi Shifta Es Yisrael. So now we want to bring a proof from Devorah that she was a judge for Klal Yisrael, so maybe that's a proof that a woman can be a judge. But Devorah ein lahavi raya de isha kashera ladun, because maybe they were makabel loito aleihim mishum shechina, that since she was a prophet, that Klal Yisrael were makabel the woman upon her. And I'm not so sure what this means. Like she's possible for Dianos, but they makabeled anyway, and therefore what? Therefore she can be a Dayan even though she's possible. Or they makabeled her anyway, even though she was possible. I'm not sure what they mean, but they're just basically saying that they were makabel her because of her nevuah, but that doesn't mean that a woman's kosher to be a dayan. I time be Gittin darshin lefneihem lemutei hediut hakat darshin lerabus isha. So here we're saying to be marbe isha. So yesh lamer dahasam mishum de lefneihem kai alechem de parsha. So basically here Tosis is holding that a woman is kosher to be a dayan, even though we have all these rights or whatever, but he's holding that from this asher tasim lifneihem hesheva kosav ish leish. So when it comes to dinim, the man and the woman are the same, and therefore Tosis is learning from this Gemara here in Bava Kama that a woman can be a dayan, and he goes through here discussing maybe she is, maybe she isn't, and it comes out that there's no proof against this Gemara that a woman can't be a dayan. So Tosis holds that a woman can be a dayan. It's important that Tosis holds a woman can be a dayan. So the Rashash this is in later on in Gittin Peches. Dei says Tosis isha pesula ladun. Dei have is kasher ladun after krod lefneihem lo iri rak bedanayim afilu hachi hari atishaper hadi alef minei. The negros mishum diyesh loimer to samach hareshet kosher. So this is what he's saying in later on in Gittin, but this is Toisvus. Aval kevan de isha pesula ledun v'hakro iri ben danim v'imkein al korcha ena beklal de levnehim v'atai kasha heki alef minei de hashva isha. So again, we have in the Gemara we did in Bava Kama that the man and the woman are equal. We have this drasha of V'lifneihim in both places. That's a territory. The Kro'ayri Bain B'danim Bain need doing v'hakad isa v'hakadai. Much goes over. And the minam ein sham b'ad ayam b'marsha v'hat mashman la'ayil. Right. So now this is there he's bringing out this toisvis that the woman is kosher to Dan based on the toisvis in Peiches. We see la'ayil hey am a base. Now here the Rashash is saying that our Gemara is a raya, is a makor for isha pasula ledun. Right. Ayin sham b'Rashi came into isha kashera. So kavar katavti yishav lezeh b'Bava Kama. So over there in Bava Kama, he's explaining Tosis' shita. So he has a stira in Tosis because Tosis over here in Peiches holds that a woman is kosher for Dayan, but over here Haim Beis that Isha is possible to be a dun, and go see over there in Rashi gave into Isha kashera. So we can have a quick look here. Came into Isha to kashera maksheres, but with two, sometimes she will bring the woman and will be someone on her to be kosher her namim b'shnayim v'isha lo chazi las rufe b'hadai. So a woman is not chazi, is not fitting to be three, to be in the dianos. Now, in here we have that's Piskei Rid. Hold on a sec. So there's Tosfos Harid on most of the sides of the page, but he doesn't seem to have it on this Gemara. Now, the Tosfos Harid says Elahaka so the Girsa of Tosfos Harid Elahaka Bahakimifli Mar Salvar Kevin de Isha, and he adds a word in here, Atzma Mevi Gita. So this whole thing, de Isha Kasher Lahavi et Haget, Tosfos Harid doesn't have, and he says that Isha Atzma Mevi et Haget. Now that would, if Tosfos was holding that, then that would be all good. Because if the woman herself brings the get, the woman herself cannot be a dayan on her own get, because the woman herself is nagabadavar on her own get. Not that a woman who's a shaliach can't be a dayan, but the woman on her own get can't be a dayan. Now, this is the Rashash in Bava Kama explaining. So that's the Tosfos. So that really woman. But in Niflalti, there's a big kasha. So again, Gittin Haim base. We say Zimin demaiti laisa v'samchi alea. Deisers ev l'shnaim liotem based in. Ein sham lehedia de pesula ledin. So again, this our Gemara is a clear raya against Tosfos that a woman is not kosher ledun. Shuv metzati bechrushi rashba. The hay lifanav. Yusha Sham, Kaven de Isha Kasher Lavi et Gita. V'chem Berif, Sham, Maisi hi Gita, V'ayin Sham Baran. Zehu Kavanos Tosfos Sham, Moshakos Hagirson Rabbeinu Tam. Lefilke, Megim Amata Lefi Halos Ein Misham Kushya. And now, because of this Girsa, there's no Kasha. Now, this is what the Rashash is explaining, that basically, Lahavi et Gita, it's a little bit less mefurash than the Tosfos Rid's Girsa, which is the Isha Atzma. But here, Lehavi et Gita, that she brings her get. Now, what does it say here? The Isha Kasher Lehavi et Haget. The Gemara here is just saying that she's a shaliach. A woman can be a shaliach. Since a woman can be a shaliach, she can't be a dayan. The way that the Girsa of Gita is saying that the woman is kosher to bring her get and maybe she'll become the Diane on that. Now she can't be a Diane on her own get. That's poshut. But any other one. So if Tosis had, and that's how Rashash is answering for Tosis, and all good. However, here Haki Garsu Rabbeinu Tam, Kevin de Isha Kisher Lahavi et Haget, Zimnin de Maisila Itza. That's Taka, the Girsa we have here. Lahavi et Haget, Zemin de Maisila Itza. The Kain Perish Rabbeinu Chananel. The Huadin, the Humatzi Lememar, Zimnin de Maisila Karav. So a Karav also, just like a woman and a Karav, both of them can't be you could also bring the same, since the Korov can't be a Dayan, he can't, he'll bring a get. So it's like a woman lavdavka, and also Korov. So basically here, going to Haki Garsin Rabbeinu Tam, he leaves off what the Rashash is saying. He's saying, but davka, not like what the Rashash is saying. The Rashash here says that V'zehu kevanas ha'tosis sham, but mashkaz haki gasin Rabbeinu Tam, which doesn't make any sense because Rabbeinu Tam is quoting our Gemara and seeming to not say Gita. He just says et haget, quotes our Gemara, and they say according to that Girsa, seemingly the Rabbeinu Tam here is saying that Taka that the woman is good as a Dayan. So the teretz of the Rashash is that the Tosis has a different Girsa here, where the only woman who's possible for a Dayan is a woman on her own get, but every other woman would be kosher. That would fit Tosis Shita. Seemingly Rabbeinu Tam is saying not like that. Now there is a Shmuel Levitz who actually makes a chiluk and then can makayim everything. So you can take a look in this the Shmuel Levitz. We're not going to do it all, but basically you see here nearly Ashev Di Shloimar. The afle isha kasher ledon, and also she's also kosher le'ed b'fnei nechtam. So there's a level of edus that the woman is kosher for, which is this shlichus b'fnei nechtam tehikulu l'hakshera mishamiguna. Mikom atom benidan didan the boin l'tzaref hashliach lebeistin and makayim es a guess medina de'ed na'aseh dayan b'derabanan lo matzi isha le'ninzeh. So here he's making a chiluk. So he goes through a whole thing. But he's actually making a chiluk in the Tosfos to say that even though she can be a dayan, right here she can't be an aid for this for the get, and that will go like the girsa of Rabbeinu Tam. But the Rashash is saying that Tosfos has a different girsa, and because of that, is learning that it's that it's just a woman can be a dayan here for Gittin. It's just here where she's bringing her own get, she can't. So you have a maklokas there in the sheets of Tosis. But basically Tosis holds that a woman can be a dayan, but l'chayra heyam a base is a raya keneged a woman being a dayan.